Hello everyone. It's been a long hiatus here at Formula Delta, but we're back with the on-track brake comparison video. So a little bit background about the car. It is a EK Honda Civic. I have a K-swap on it with the main intention of hitting the track. So I also had installed DC2 Type R brakes all around, but we're seeing a lot of issues with braking performance of the vehicle. I started out with Carbotech XP10 front and rear pads, and this made the car very nervous. So I switched to the GLOC R12s in the front and the GLOC R8s in the back of the car. This was a little bit better, but still not quite there when you start pushing it at the track. Here's a video of me spinning the car going into the last series of corners at the driver development track at Motorsport. As you can see, the result was pretty dramatic. Being in the driver's seat was even worse. Spinning the car at over 100 kilometers an hour was not a fun experience. Even though going up to the GLOC R12 pads in the front helped the situation, I did not want to go to a more aggressive front brake pad because the front brakes were occasionally overheating after long sessions at the track, as you can see in this video. I did a lot of research on what other brakes fit on the front end of this vehicle, and ultimately came to the conclusion that the Genesis Brembo front calipers is a bolt-on upgrade for this car. If you want to take a look at the research video, I will link it above. I would like to thank Jeremy Norquay from British Columbia. He helped me come up with the Genesis Brembo front options for this vehicle. You can check out his content and his channel at the link above. I would also like to thank Frank Ewald from Ewald Performance. He is the Canadian distributor for GLOC brake pads. So if you need anything from GLOC brakes, please reach out to Frank. I have a link to his website in the description. Next, we took the car to our local track, which is Toronto Motorsports Park. You may have seen this track on other YouTube channels such as Speed Academy and a lot of the local racers around the southern Ontario area. The track consists of 12 turns, and it is usually run in a clockwise fashion. Turn 1 and turn 2 are the major braking zones, and we'll be doing a data analysis on the DC2 Type R brakes as well as the Genesis Brembo brakes. I'll be showing a split screen GoPro footage with the Genesis Brembo video at the top and the DC2 Type R brakes at the bottom for turn 1 and turn 2 at Toronto Motorsports Park. Lap time came in at 122.25 for the DC2 Type R brakes and 122.10 for the Genesis Brembos. Looking at just the video, it's actually kind of hard to compare the brakes performance. So I pulled the speed and lateral and longitudinal acceleration data out from the GoPro file and plotted it against each other. As you can kind of see, the red line is the DC2 Type R brakes, and the blue line is the Genesis Brembos. On the speed trace, it's pretty evident that the Genesis Brembo is actually reaching a higher top speed in a lot of the corners. And because they're totally new to me, I actually over braked in multiple corners, resulting in a lower minimum speed. And on top of that, you can kind of see the peaks are sharper with the blue line. And that shows you that I can get on the brakes later and still arrive at the corner slower, or sometimes a little bit faster, but most of the time you can see that I'm actually hitting the brakes at a later point and decelerating down to about the same speed. So with some more tweaking of the driving, and as I get comfortable with the car with this current setup, I think there's a lot more time to be gained with these brakes. Okay, let's look at the turns, turn 1, turn 2 in detail. Turn 1 is probably one of the more demanding braking portions. We go from 170 kilometers an hour down to 90 kilometers an hour. The blue line is clear that the initiation of the braking point is quite a bit later than that of the red line. You can tell in the acceleration data that I am on the brakes well after that of the red line. And the peak deceleration is also a little bit lower than that of the red line. The point that is actually quite interesting is that the EK platform has always been quite twitchy under brakes. So I have a lot of issues trying to turn in the car in the braking zone, and or that transition between braking and turning in has always been a challenge for me. So with the Brembo setup, I'm actually seeing a lot more lateral G earlier in the corner than that of the red line. And in the last plot, you can see that I'm building lateral acceleration earlier than that of the red plot, while still under more braking G's as well. So this is a signal to me that the Brembo setup is correcting some of the bias issues associated with this platform. This car has been totally transformed with these new brakes. I feel way more confident turning the car in under brakes than before. And I think there's going to be a lot more time to be gained with these changes. So let's look at turn 2. Turn 2 shows a similar story as turn 1. I was able to achieve a higher top speed with the Genesis Brembos before hitting the brakes. And this is clear in the acceleration data, where the blue line starts dropping for braking quite a bit later than that of the red line. I was not able to achieve as high a peak braking G than that of the DC2 Type R, but I'm able to maintain that level of braking for a little bit longer than that of the DC2 Type R. And I think that's where I was over slowing for this corner. By the time I got to the apex, the vehicle speed is actually a little bit lower than that of the DC2 Type R. So this is where some time can be gained once I start mastering these brake setups. Lastly, I want to bring your attention to turn 6. Turn 6 is the infield hairpin at TMP. I reached a higher vehicle speed going into turn 6 braking zone, hit the brakes later than that of the DC2 Type R, achieved a higher peak deceleration by about 0.2 to 0.25 Gs than that of the DC2 Type R. I actually over braked for the corner and ended up slower by mid-corner than that of the DC2 Type R, and with some more practice I think I should be able to reach the same mid-corner speed and gain a lot more time with the Genesis Brembo in the future. I did a bit more track driving with the Genesis Brembos. The behavior of the platform made me really comfortable in the performance of the vehicle, so much so that I took the car to Motorsport Grand Prix track here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. And here's a bit of footage of me going through the high-speed corners at Motorsport. To conclude this episode, I want to say that the Genesis Brembo upgrade has been totally worth it for me. I'm able to push the braking zones a lot more with this setup than that of the DC2 Type R. The notion that the EK platform has always been twitchy under brakes has totally disappeared from my head. I'm able to push into the braking zone harder and initiate a turn while under brakes without worrying about the rears locking up and the vehicle spinning on me. So there's going to be a learning curve for me driving the vehicle to push the limit and gain a bit more time at the track with the setup. Come next year, these RS4 tires are pretty beat up. I've been using them for past 4 years, and it's time to get rid of them and find some better, more grippy tires that's come out in the recent past. I'll be trying to push past the 120 barrier and try to get the car into the 119s with different tires. Looking forward to you guys following my journey. And if you haven't, please like and subscribe if you think I've brought some value and some knowledge for the Honda community or the car community in general.